When playing zombie video games, one of the things I admire is how unique everything feels between each title. What's up, Danksters? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Zombie Games Are Cool, and today we'll be reviewing Ubisoft's ZombiU. ZombiU was a launch title for the Wii U and the very first game I ever bought for the system. A survival horror first-person shooter with zombies based in London? Yeah, sign me up. I was immediately on board. Released November 18th, 2012, ZombiU is an underrated gem that I don't feel gets the attention it deserves. And I mean, sure, being released on the Wii U probably didn't help with that. ZombiU is actually a reboot of Ubisoft's zombie game from 1986.
Which is very cool, and that also explains why they have that 80s theme in the extra content menu. It's to pay tribute to that original game.
And playing ZombiU on the Wii U is actually a pretty neat experience. It's pretty fun to mess around with the gamepad, seeing what creative ways they had you deal with stuff like getting into your inventory based on the gamepad while the screen is completely free, all being done in real time. Is actually pretty cool. It was just really cool that the gamepad could be part of the experience in some ways and really just add to the immersion of the game. However, in 2015, ZombiU would end up getting ported over to other consoles, and it wasn't just a Wii U exclusive anymore. Dropping the U from the title, Zombie would be here on PS4 and Xbox One. And the PS4 version is the one I will be looking at for this review. In terms of the Wii U, it was just a lot easier and a lot more convenient to get the gameplay this way, and it's not a bad port. ZombiU is a real interesting game to me. Not only is it a zombie game, which I am forever in love with, but it's a zombie game set in London. And for the time, that was crazy. It was definitely a lot different than what we normally saw in zombie media. Normally, for the most part, zombie media takes place here in America, but to see a zombie game nonetheless, take place in England, definitely sold me, like I said earlier.
Now, I'm not saying that it hasn't been done before. You know, movies like Shaun of the Dead, 28 Days Later, both zombie apocalyptic movies that take place in the UK. But to have a video game do it, well, it just makes it very appealing.
Now, the story here is really not that great. In fact, it's pretty shallow. You are out scavenging when all of a sudden a voice comes from a speaker. Not only does this alert the zombies, but the voice from the speaker is alerting you to get the hell out of there and run to a safe room, which then entails into a chase section, which is done so well here. You feel so helpless and that situation is so tense that you just want to make it to the other side. After escaping, we're introduced to the voice that was helping us out, and his name is the Prepper. And in finally getting to the safe room, we are gifted with the prep pad to begin our journey. And it's really from here where you just mostly survive. Sure, the story does have its lore with notes being scattered around, and there is an objective at the end of the day, but it doesn't really get much deeper than just pure survival. Mostly alone, in London, fighting zombies. However, where the story lacks, the gameplay does make up for it alongside with the atmosphere. The gameplay in ZombiU is actually pretty decent. You start out with a cricket bat, your melee weapon, and using it is as simple as charging it up and letting it go. After a while, using the cricket bat and other melee weapons that are scattered around the game, which all control the same by the way, you can definitely see and feel the repetitiveness it is in doing that. However, when the melee weapons do get a little repetitive, thankfully they're not the only thing at our disposal. We also have guns thrown into the mix, and this includes pistols, shotguns, snipers, what have you. Use these weapons sparingly because at times it could feel like you have a lot of bullets at your disposal, but then you'll quickly realize how fast they go and you'll be scrambling back to your melee weapons. However, if you run out of bullets, I really don't blame you because using the guns in this game actually do feel pretty good to use. Now, follow me here. It doesn't feel as good to control as if you were playing like Call of Duty. But if you look at ZombiU by itself in its own first-person rights and its own gameplay rights, then it's a pretty decent first-person shooter. The sound effects from each gun sound really satisfying. I love popping shots off with the pistol just to hear that. And using the shotgun really does make you feel like you're really powerful, and I love blasting zombies away with that. And you know, using the sniper as well is very helpful if you use it like you would any sniper rifle. Picking zombies off from a distance, one by one, is very satisfying. On top of being really fun to use, each gun also has an upgrade system.
There will also be some pieces scattered around that you can use to then add onto your weapons to increase the firepower, firing speed, the spread, or capacity.
And I definitely would recommend doing this as much as you can because having upgraded weapons can definitely save your bacon. Alongside that, there are also throwables in this game with Molotovs, or you can throw broken bottles to distract zombies so you can get around them. I really love how the game allows you to have a stealth approach if that's something you want to do. However, that's not my type of strategy. I just like to go in there guns a-blazing. As you can see here, I just decided that I wanted to pick these zombies off early, one at a time, and it is totally doable because ZombiU can be a little repetitive at times when it comes to its combat if you know what you're doing. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of The Walking Dead Survival Instinct vibes here. Oh, I just remembered that's one I'm going to talk about as well. Later though. Now the gunplay is great, but the atmosphere of ZombiU, like I said earlier, is something that it does really well. ZombiU, in my opinion, is like an actual scary, terrifying game. And while I do think the graphics here look really good, they're nothing special by today's standards, so I'm purely looking at this through the lens of someone playing this for the first time in 2012, aka me. ZombiU nails its atmosphere by being a post-apocalyptic version of Britain, and it looks really neat here. They captured England so well in this game and just makes it look terrifying. Cars broken down, fire spreaded all over, papers are torn and spread all across the streets, bodies also littering the streets and the sewers and the nursery, which, oh my god, don't get me started on the nursery.
Ooh, the nursery. I came across this playground and I was like, oh no. Is ZombiU really about to show me zombie kids right now? I actually couldn't believe it. As messed up as this sounds, I was actually kind of excited to see what ZombiU was going to do here. So I ventured in, and the first thing I hear is,
I saw them get overrun on the CCTV. The staff running inside with the kids. I didn't see anyone leave.
So with a setup like that, just immediately looking around me, I can see how scary as hell this nursery looks. It literally accomplishes the act of being scary by itself. And then that music kicks in. So chilling, so haunting. Actually giving me chills as I was going through it. Always wondering, when is it gonna happen? There's so many corners, so many small spots that it could happen, but it never does. At the end, it's just adult zombies, but that build-up, that start was legendary, and I will always remember it and the effect it had on me when I first played this game.
And I think what makes ZombiU so scary and why it works so effectively as it does is because of how truly helpless you are in the game. This is not one of those games where you can just buy resources or have it around every corner. No, resources are very limited here. You want to make everything last and you want to make everything count for what it is. So it adds a level of tension to it. Not only that, but navigating through ZombiU, you just never really know what is around the corner. Having your flashlight only show a very limited area of the map can add a lot of tense moments. Being completely alone in the dark with the entire world and nature against you is absolutely terrifying, and I just love how ZombiU nails it here. And you have to be careful because if you're not, you will die, and trust me, that is a guarantee. That is not a what if. You're going to die in this game. And when you die, you have a choice you can make. If you're playing on the normal mode, you can respawn as a brand new character and you can just go about your way. However, if you're going about your way, you're most likely going to run into your old previous character. ZombiU has a really unique feature in this game to where you die, your previous character comes back as a zombie, and you can go kill it to get all your previous supplies back. This is a really cool system. I really love how they use it here, but it's also a risky one because on your way there, you could just die again, and when you die again, already having a zombie walking around, you will lose everything. So it's very important you play very carefully, and I think ZombiU adds a lot of suspense and tension to it by doing that. Overall, when we just break it down, ZombiU is a legit scary game and will have you on your toes at all times. However, some things can be tense in the wrong way, and while I do think ZombiU nails the atmosphere and nails its horror factors, there's also a layer of bullshit that is added to it. Now, when porting it over to the next-gen consoles, the Xbox One and PS4, the whole gamepad mechanic was lost in translation, which is understandable because none of these consoles have a gamepad. See, the prep pad in the game was actually a way around to use the gamepad in real life. Like I said, it was a cool way to add immersion to the player to the game. However, in doing so, whenever you would go to a storage container, which is in this game, and that's where you keep all your loot, the storage container would be transported over to the gamepad, leaving the screen completely blank, just showing your character. And this was a great system because it means you could scroll through your inventory while keeping an eye on your character, because everything happens in real time. So if there was a zombie or something around, instead of just hearing it, you could visually see it, quickly get out your backpack and take care of the business. Well, in the Xbox One and PS4 version, all they did was take all the Wii U game mechanics and put it on the screen. So this means if you're going inside your backpack or going inside your storage container, that screen is over top of your player screen, meaning that you are completely blind and you have the outlines of the screen, but you are mostly blind and are defenseless, and if a zombie comes up onto you, it might be too late to react to it. I mean, that's just a little nitpick though, but since I'm bringing up the zombies, why don't we get into them? The zombies in ZombiU are actually good zombies. They're real scary zombies, and I like that. It's actually what real zombies in my head would actually be like. The zombies in this game, now when dealing with them by themselves, can be pretty easy. But when dealing with all of them in a horde, that's when it can be really tough to deal with. Most of the zombies you deal with are most likely going to be the normal walkers, but there are some variants in this game. Like there are zombies that spit at you, and there are armored zombies, and you even have some Royal Guard zombies. So there is definitely some variation to the game. ZombiU's music is pretty good, but most of it is just atmospheric pieces to enhance the mood. But ZombiU at its time does have some pretty good music tracks in here. Like the loading screen, for example. Now on the PS4 and Xbox One, this goes really quick, but on the Wii U, you actually had to wait and load a little bit. In doing so, you actually got this music, which I just love. The song gives off vibes like all hope is lost, but if we just keep pushing, we'll make it. Unfortunately, that's really the only track that sticks out to my mind right now to think about. I can't really remember any other pieces, but if I went back and listened to it, I'm sure they would be decent in their own right. I always made it to the point where you had to make up that big climb and get to the helicopter, but every time I get right close to the helicopter, I would die because of an exploding zombie, or I just get overrun, and dying at such a point like that and having to restart and then run all the way back to that point can be really defeating. So I only really made it to there and then I called it quits. But the journey to that is amazing. Except for the arena part. That is legitimately a piece of shit. Sometimes I forget that this game has some classic game mentality where it just does not like to pull its punches.
Oh, whoa, what's going on here? I don't feel very good.
Seeing London in shambles, seeing all these locations is very neat to me as an American. The game being set in London does something to my dumb American brain that I can't really explain. It's crazy how a French studio nailed it here, and at times it really does feel like I'm exploring the streets of London, like a virtual tour. And I know I keep bringing this up over and over again, but it's so good.
Was this game ever big in the UK? I'd love to know.
ZombiU is a game I definitely find myself coming back to. Every now and again, I'll boot it up and give it a try. It's just something about this game that feels really special. Now, there has been some debate whether you should play the PS4 Xbox One version over the Wii U version. There are differences between the two, and I think one of the biggest downgrades that the PS4 and Xbox One version did is they got rid of the multiplayer mode that ZombiU has. ZombiU had a multiplayer mode to where one person would be on the gamepad controlling the zombies while one person was on the screen fighting off the zombies in the style that you would do in the game. It was a really fun multiplayer mode, and it's just sad that they couldn't find a way to incorporate that into the PS4 and Xbox One version, but I mean, that doesn't take away from the main story and the main campaign of Zombie. It just sucks that they took it away, but at the same time does add merit to playing the Wii U port, so you do have that if you want it. ZombiU is a great game, and it's an underrated gem in my opinion. At the time of its release, it did not get the love that it needed. Of course, it didn't really help coming out during the peak zombie wave, where I could see it kind of just blended into the crowd. But now that the year is 2025 and we all have the ability of hindsight, I think we should definitely give Zombie another try. This game goes on sale all the time, roughly around $5 to $10. It's super cheap, and I think it's on Game Pass, so if it is, I definitely recommend giving it a shot then, because you just might find something that you didn't know that you wanted. And Danksters, that is going to do it for me. Did you guys ever play ZombiU growing up? Did you ever play it at release, or have you ever played the remastered ports on Xbox One and PS4? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinions on the game. This has definitely always been a really interesting and unique game to me, because it definitely just doesn't feel like it's like other zombie games, and the fact that it came out on my birthday, you know, really adds something to it. All my social medias are in the description down below, alongside the Discord link that you guys should totally hop on and join. We'd love to have more Danksters in the army. And while you're down there, can I get you to hit that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications, because I wouldn't want you to miss a single upload of mine. And it would take like 3 seconds, and it would be greatly appreciated. And for those daredevils out there who want to go the extra mile, I also have a Patreon, and if you want to throw $1 my way, it's totally up to you. It would be greatly appreciated. Alright, Danksters, thanks for watching another episode of Zombie Games Are Cool. And remember, you're not going to get this kind of content anywhere else, and you want to know why? Because that's the Dankers difference.